Ah yes, I've been with WPF for 13 seasons now, and I've actually been recording since season 7, which also just happened to be my championship season. So you would think I would get a little bit bored of it by now, but I think it might actually be the opposite. I just love the people of the league and love how it's ran, and actually recording has been a ton of fun as of late. So of course I'm gonna do season 13 at WPF, and yeah, this is just my draft reveal. Hope you enjoy it. So quickly, a little bit of info before we go in. We are pretty standard in WPF this time around again. I'm gonna do 16 teams, but it's gonna be split into 2 pools of 8, which means there's only 8 people in the pool I'm drafting in, and 8 people in another pool, which also means that you can end up facing the same mon twice. Personally, I'm not a biggest fan of it, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay to like test out the waters, because the pool of mons is a little bit thin right now, until we like see how many mons gets released and whatnot in the future. And I think it definitely also creates an interesting format. Now, we had the 4th pick in our pool, so that means we were straight in the middle as always, because I had the 8th pick in both of the other leagues we joined, and now we have the 4th pick. It's very, very interesting. And lastly, we were allowed to point out 1 Terra Captain, which means 1 Pokemon that can Terra into any typing we see fit. So you can go into like Dark, Ghost, whatever you want. And yeah, a lot of people definitely drafted with that in mind when they picked up some of their mons. And that actually came true when you saw when you saw the first mon that got picked in pretty much all the drafts, like not just our pool, but all the pools. Like I'm pretty sure half of them drafted the same first mon, which I didn't think was gonna go first. I didn't think it was gonna go first until I realized, oh yeah, wait, it is actually kind of busted. And that one was Spectria, so we didn't get Spectria because Spectria with Terra is really, really good. After that, it was actually Urshifu that got picked up in our pool, which I was a little bit surprised about. I feel like Urshifu is not as good, even with Terra. It's not like as much of a bomb, or even if it is, I don't feel like it has that newish feel to it, where Spectria definitely does seem to have a newish feel about it. But I mean, I guess if you like Urshifu, you like Urshifu, you know. And then Iron Valiant got picked right before us, which Iron Valiant was definitely also a top 3 mon in my opinion. But we actually got a mon that I think is worthy of the top 3 pick, and that is CHIEN-PAO. We got CHIEN-PAO, or CHIEN-PAO, however you want to say it, which is a very, very strong Dark Archetype mon. It's basically Weavile, but better. And that's basically what it is. It has the ability sort of Ruin, which basically just nerfs all other Pokemon's defense by 25%. Basically just hit harder. And it does pair very well with CHIEN-PAO's stats being what, like 130 speed, 130 I don't know, 120 attack, I believe it is. Which is very hard hitting. Access to Crunch and Throat Chop for dark moves. Ice Spinner and Icicle Grasp for ice, but you're mostly gonna go with Ice Spinner just because it's, you know, more accurate. It's actually a 100 accurate ice move. Who thought we would ever get that? But yeah, I think CHIEN-PAO is gonna be very, very fun to play with. I'm a little bit uncertain on how much I'm gonna experiment with it. Like, am I just gonna run boots every week? I don't know. Maybe some matchups I'll run like Trisban. We are in a pretty hazard heavy meta, so not having boots on your ice type is a little bit risky. We'll see when we get into some of the matches, but I think CHIEN-PAO is going to be very fun to play with, especially when it paired up with the next mon. And I'll tell you now, I can tell you, the next mon, I had the choice between 2 mons. One was Palafin, which I used in the Smogon draft tour, but I opted to not take Palafin again, even though I do think it's very fun and very good. I wanted something to help with special breaking, like a good especially offensive mon. And I just wanted to try this mon because I thought it was kind of trash in Gen 8, but now in Gen 9 it's really good. And that is Regieleki. So we have Edison the Regieleki. By the way, did I remember to say CHIEN-PAO is named Tom? It's going to be named Tom. This is Edison the Regieleki, which is going to be our Terra Captain. So basically, this means we can Terra into any type and just nuke. Like, the biggest hurdle this thing has was it could not touch a ground type. Like, it legitimately just did not get any moves for ground types, really. I think it got like Body Slam, stuff like that, but that's not good enough. Now, we can run because Terra Blast is allowed, so we can run Terra Blast Ice, Terra Blast Water, Terra Blast Grass, depending on the matchup. Even Terra, I even had the very first match I played, which I have played by this point. I thought about going Terra Dragon because I wanted to resist a certain move, but yeah, you know, it is what it is. I think Regieleki is going to be very, very fun. Just being able to Volt Switch, Thunderbolt. Is a Rapid Spinner as well, which is very nice. And of course, the Terra Blast It's gonna be kind of generic standard, like people can probably expect what kind of typing Regieleki is gonna be, because it's always gonna be the one typing that I can't break naturally, which will often be like, you know, ice or water or grass, because we want to hit the ground types. But there are some certain scenarios where you can do some other stuff. But very happy about picking on Regieleki, a mon that in my eyes is now completely transformed compared to the last generation. Now, our third pick, I did not go into this draft thinking I was going to pick up this mon at all. I originally wanted Noivern to be my dragon type because I really like Noivern this generation. 123 speed is very nice. Access to Taunt, Super Fang, it's one of the few defoggers that's still around. Access to U-turn, of course. Very hard hitting Draco Meteors. Some matchups you can run Martyrs, they hit even harder. It's just a really good all-around mon this generation. But there was a dragon type in round 3 that I could not say no to, and that was Garchomp. So Garchomp was still sticking around at this point, and I was like, I don't have a ground type, I don't have a dragon type, I don't have the hazards, let me pick up Garchomp. And Garchomp actually got a small both nerf and buff this generation. So offensive Garchomp probably got a slight nerf because it no longer has access to scale shots, so you cannot boost your speed by any means. But bulky Garchomp actually got a really good buff because it now had access to spikes, which means you can both set up spikes and stealth rocks, so you can just be a hazard machine while you're making your opponent's physical mons take chip from Robskin and maybe Rocky Helmet. I think Garchomp is really good at fulfilling 2 roles now instead of just 1. I feel like Generation 8, most of the time, like 75% of the time, you wanted to run offensive Garchomp and then run defense every now and then. Now I think it's more of like a 50-50. You can do whatever you want with Garchomp. Still, you know, still just one of the OGs, one of the longest standing really good draft mons. I just love Garchomp, even though I haven't used it in very, very long. I think I used it very early, Gen 8. Haven't used it since now. In Gen 9, we're going to use it one more time. I never got to use it with Skill Shot, unfortunately. But, you know, it is what it is. It's fine. I think Garchomp is going to be very fun to play with, yeah. And for our next pick, I wanted to start building a little bit of a more bulky defensive core. We needed some mons that can take some hits. We needed something to take like fighting types, for CHIEN-PAO and stuff like that. So I opted to go for a mon that originally I didn't want because I wanted another member of its family. I wanted Galarian Slowking first, got taken round 2 before me. Then I wanted regular Slowking, got taken round 3 before me. So I actually picked up Garchomp instead of Slowking. But I still wanted a slow family member, so you know, I went back to Old Faithful Slowbro. Come on, the Slowbro. The Slowbro is going to be on our team. It's unfortunately not as good as it was last year. No longer has access to teleport. Doesn't get the new chilly reception move that Slowking does, and Galarian Slowking, which is just poor Slowbro. But they're a very good Spalgymon. Get access to all of the regular moves you typically would get offensively, like Flamethrower. So it no longer has Scald, actually. That's a big thing as well. It doesn't get to Scald, but no water type gets Scald anymore besides Volcanion. So, you know, it's fine. Access to Surf, access to Body Press. Gets Thunder Wave, which I think is pretty important on some of your bulky mons if they get like Thunder Wave or Yawn, because Toxic also got like completely nuke from a lot of mons that aren't poison types and whatnot. So yeah, I think Slowbro is going to really get nice to just play around with. Good physically defensive mon, and just a really good check to like ice types for Garchomp, fighting types for CHIEN-PAO, stuff like that. Can also check some ground types because you're bulky enough that you can swap into them to help Regieleki. I actually do think it glues the rest of our teams very well together. I think one mon that also helps with that, which also helps because it has regenerated the same way Slowbro does, Amoongus. So our fifth pick was Amoongus. I don't know what I think about Amoongus. This is my first time ever drafting it. I always try and stray away from drafting grass poison types because I do like my grass type to resist ground type moves. But I knew one mon I was going to get down the line was really good against ground types, so I wasn't as nervous about it this time around. And I actually think Amoongus is pretty good this generation. You know, it still gets access to Spore, still gets access to Toxic and Foul Play and Stomach Tantrum. I say Stomach Tantrum because there's one specific mon that you want to run that against. But yeah, this is just, you know, generic bulky support. Like, I don't know how much I can say about Amoongus. You know, it's gonna come a lot of matches probably just because it's thick. Take a lot of hits. You're gonna slap an AV on this thing, and then we have a decent def wall as well. So yeah, pretty happy about Amoongus, but definitely also could see myself potentially dropping this in the future. We'll see, we'll see. Now, as I mentioned, I had a plan to pick up certain mon to help with ground types, and that mon was gonna be Earthworm. Yeah, I'm picking up Earthworm with its new ability Earth Eater, which is basically just water absorb for ground type moves. very, very happy about it. I think this mon is actually really, really good for like the cheap price it was at. I think it was at like 6 points or whatever. Really, it's just a good generic steel type. Can spit out a spike, can spit out stealth rocks, access to body press with his 145 space defense, which is just very, very nice. It doesn't really do that much else. Like, it's not a mon you can really be that creative with. Like, there's probably some stuff you can do. Like, of course, you can do standard iron defense body press. It does get access to that, which I'm not against running. Like, I actually ran it in a test mock I did against one of my friends, the Jolts. You know, Jolts of Energy, if anyone knows him. I actually did run iron defense body press because it was pretty good there. But yeah, Earthworm just kind of here as like a generic steel. We want to finish out a little bit of the Dragon Fairy steel core, and this is like a very good match in that. And next up, I wanted a little bit of removal. I wanted a speed tier between Garchomp and CHIEN-PAO, I think it was. I wanted a normal type, and I just wanted to try out this model because it seems super fun. So I ended up picking up MAUSHOLD, the normal type MAUSHOLD with Technician. Now this thing gets an insane move called Population Bomb. And what Population Bomb is a base 20 move that can hit up to 10 times. Each time it hits, it has an accuracy of 90%. It's not 90% total, it's each hit has a 90%. So that means the total percent is like 70 or something like that. I don't know the actual math for that, but I know it's like way lower. So typically you actually want to run like a wide lens on this. But other than what's it called, Population Bomb, it has good utility moves. You get like Encore, I believe. You get Thunder Wave, I think. You get U-Turn, access to Bite to hit ghost types with, stuff like that. And then also very importantly, it gets Tidy Up. So Tidy Up is an insane new move. It is basically Dragon Dance plus Rabbit Spin plus, I don't know, like it'll get rid of hazards, it'll get rid of substitutes, and it gives you a +1 speed and a +1 attack. Yeah, I'm not lying. That is actually what the move does. I think it also gets rid of screens. I feel like I saw someone say that. I'll have to check that out. I'm not 100% sure about the screen thing, but if it does, this move is broken. Like it's only allowed because it's on MAUSHOLD, which only has base like 70 something attack. I think it's 75. Yeah, 75 attack. But still, I just want to sweep someone with this at one point. If I do that throughout the season, this season is saved. Like I don't care. I can go 0-9. If I just I can go 1-8 if I just sweep a MAUSHOLD one time. I would be very, very happy. But yeah, it's a good speed tier. It gets a lot of the utility moves. It's a really good support mon. Can also sweep in some scenarios. So very happy about picking up MAUSHOLD. And as I mentioned, we now have to build a little bit more on our bulky core. The Dragon and Steel, and then we need the Fairy type. And I wanted a DACHSBUN. DACHSBUN to me is probably one of the better value mons you can get in this entire draft. This was 3 points. It's a Fairy type, which Fairy types are kind of scarce. There aren't too many. There are even some teams that might not have a Fairy type. I don't remember if there are or not. But yeah, DACHSBUN just really good. Has an immunity to fire, so this thing actually pairs very well with Earthworm, because Earthworm resists everything that DACHSBUN is weak to, and DACHSBUN is good against everything Earthworm is weak to, because Earthworm is only weak to fighting and fire. This resists fighting and is immune to fire. This thing is weak to poison, steel, which both are typings Earthworm resist. Those two pair very well together. This is also just really good against a lot of the top tier mons. Like, I'm not saying it can beat the mons 1v1 always, right? But it's pretty decent against like Dragapult, Shifu, other CHIEN-PAOs, Shiyu, stuff like that. So I just think for 3 points, this is a very good Fairy type to have. I think it's like really good worth. I think it's just a good one. Yeah, there's not much. I know I'm just kind of repeating myself. I am a little bit tired right now, so you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I think that kind of rounds out a lot of our defensive core. So now I wanted to polish up on some offense a little bit. We needed one more special attacker. I also wanted some typings we didn't have. We were missing a couple of typings here and there that I do like to have on a team. And I actually opted to go for a mon that I think is very interesting, and it actually got an ability I didn't realize it get, and that is CHIEN-PAO. So fire ghost type, 2 typings we didn't have, 109 special attack with 95 speed, so a little bit slower than regular TYPHLOSION, but hits harder. And then it gets access to Blaze, which is normal, and Frisk. Frisk is actually an amazing ability when it comes to Draft League. Having information is almost key. It is close to being everything in Draft League. So being able to frisk a potential Choice Band, Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, a Life Bulb, a Resist Berry, whatever, is huge. It just means you can play around so many stuff. You know what to go into, you know okay, he clicked this move and he's Church Scarf, he's logged in, whatever. There's so many different things you can do with, well, there's not that many different things you can do with Frisk, but Frisk just gives you the information to be able to play in different ways, depending on what you want to do. And honestly, I think Typhlosion here, his Typhlosion, is actually just really good in general. Like, it hits decently hard with 119 special attack. Access to Eruption, so you run like a Church Scarf set, you can just completely vomit out a strong attack. Now, it is a fire type, which unfortunately takes 25% to Stealth Rocks. I think, yeah, it's 25, yeah. 25% to Stealth Rocks, so you quickly run out of Eruptions, but you still get access to like Fire Blast and whatnot to hit strong as well. And I think it's just nice to have a secondary special attacker that is not 100% reliant on its terror to hit stuff, you know. Lastly, I wanted a fighting type because we were still missing a fighting type. There was a couple I wanted. I thought about picking up Gallade, you know, the mascot, but unfortunately it was 1 point too expensive. We couldn't pick it up at this point. Unfortunately, I know. I thought about picking up Primate because Primate now can run Eviolite, which actually means you can run like a kind of bulky Primate in some scenarios. But I wanted something that helped break a lot. I wanted something that hit hard. I wanted something that was kind of interesting because it's got some new stuff that it can play around with, and that was MEDICHAM. So MEDICHAM now has access to close combat. You're not relying on a high jump kick, which is very nice, meaning if you miss or they protect or whatever, you won't take the damage. And close combat has its own like negative merit because of the minus defense, but it's better than high jump kick in most scenarios. Now, it also got access to Trailblaze, which is actually a very interesting move. Basically, it is Flame Charge for grass, but every mon gets Trailblaze for some reason. I don't know why, but they just do. And MEDICHAM is actually a really good abuser of that, like getting the +1 speed and then just hitting with pure power, close combat, send headbutts or cycle cut, depending on how much power you necessarily need. It gets all the elemental punches. It's got bullet punch for priority. I think MEDICHAM is like a really good, decently low tier fighting type. It's another psychic type, which I think is a little bit bad on the defensive side because we are already kind of weak to Ghost. So having another Ghost weakness is not the best. But I don't think SLOWBRO or MEDICHAM are gonna like intertwine too much. Like SLOWBRO is gonna run defensive a lot of the time, also be especially offensive. MEDICHAM is gonna run physically offensive. So I don't think there's gonna be too many issues with them, except for we now have a little bit of a Ghost weakness. But it is what it is. We can probably play around that hopefully. And here's the full team. So first of all, let me know who's your favorite. What's your like favorite mon? What's the one mon you're excited to see this season? Personally, I'm very excited about MAUSHOLD. I think that thing is gonna be fun. I think the team as a whole is actually pretty good. Like it's not like an amazing team that's gonna blow you out of the water when you see it, but I think it kind of just checks most boxes. It has fast mons, it has slow mons, it has physical breakers, it has special breakers, it has defensive mons that work pretty well together. It has support mons and like MAUSHOLD, and DACHSBUN could be a pretty good support mon as well. I just think it kind of ticks a lot of those boxes that you wanna have. There are some holes here and there that I wish I could have done a little bit better. But you know, we'll see. When we're like 2 or 3 weeks in, if I really don't like the team, I'll change some stuff. I've been a little bit better at doing a transactions and whatnot in the first 2 leagues. Well, technically we only did it in 1, but that's because I really like the SL team, right? But I'm slightly better at doing it than I used to. I used to never want to do it just because I drafted a team. Let me just play with it. But you know, if it doesn't work, we'll do some stuff. But yeah, that's the video. As always, if you like the video, make sure to leave a like on the video, leave a comment or thought of the team, and subscribe to the channel for future videos. I will now head out. Peace, YouTube.